You pick up your phone again. You didn't decide to. 10 minutes vanish, and nothing important happened. Why does this keep happening every single day? The answer isn't weak willpower, but the real answer is far stranger than that. It's ancient code, still running, never updated for screens. That code was built for two things your ancestors couldn't survive without: hunting and foraging. Start with hunting. Your eyes are not built to see everything equally. They are built to catch movement. In 2007, psychologists Joshua New, Leda Cosmides, and John Tooby tested how fast people could spot different objects hidden in busy scenes. Animals were detected faster than cars, faster than tools, faster than anything else. Their conclusion was simple. Your visual system still carries an ancient bias tuned to track living things, the kind that once meant prey or predator. A flashing light, a sudden buzz, a red dot in the corner of your eye triggers that same orienting reflex. Your brain doesn't know it's a notification. It just knows something moved, and movement once meant something worth noticing. Researchers call this an attentional bias, and it fires faster than conscious thought, long before you've decided whether to look. You don't choose to glance at the screen. The glance happens first, and the choice arrives late, like a thought trying to catch up with a reflex. Hunting wasn't only about spotting movement, it also demanded relentless pursuit. Biologists Dennis Bramble and David Carrier proposed that humans evolved as endurance runners, specifically to chase prey across open ground until exhaustion forced a kill. No clock told your ancestors when the animal would finally give up. Tracker and researcher Louis Liebenberg, studying persistence hunters in the Kalahari, documented pursuits lasting hours, with no guarantee of success at any single moment. The hunters kept going anyway. Why would anyone commit hours to an outcome that uncertain? Because the species that gave up early starved, and the ones that tolerated uncertainty long enough sometimes ate. That same tolerance for prolonged, uncertain effort is what keeps you scrolling one more time, certain that persistence eventually pays off. Now add foraging. Picture an early human crouched beside a bush, picking through leaves for fruit. The first berries come easily. Then the pace slows. One fruit, a long pause, maybe one more. Stay or move to the next bush. This single decision shaped survival for nearly all of human history. In the 1970s, biologist Eric Charnoff gave it a name: the marginal value theorem. It describes exactly when an animal should abandon one patch and search elsewhere. The rule is almost mathematical. Stay as long as the patch pays off better than the average nearby, and leave the moment it doesn't. Zoologist John Krebs tested this on real birds, watching them sample patch after patch. He found something unexpected. The birds rarely waited for certainty. They kept sampling, just to check whether the reward had changed. Anthropologists studying the Hadza of Tanzania, among the last full-time foraging societies, observed the same pattern in people. Nobody fully empties a patch before leaving it. They leave once the rate of return drops below what memory says is available elsewhere. Your brain still runs that exact calculation. It just doesn't know your phone isn't a bush. Here's where the story turns strange. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz recorded dopamine neurons in monkeys waiting for juice rewards. When the reward was certain, dopamine rose, then settled. When the reward was uncertain, dopamine spiked even higher and stayed elevated longer. Uncertainty itself, not the reward, was driving the response. Why would your brain reward not knowing? Because in a foraging world, uncertainty meant the patch might still be good. Leaving too early could mean missing food that was still there. So your brain evolved to chase the unknown, not just the reward. Decades earlier, psychologist B.F. Skinner noticed something similar in pigeons. Birds pecking a lever pecked hardest and longest, not when food arrived every time, but when it arrived randomly. He called this a variable ratio schedule. It produces the most persistent behavior ever recorded in behavioral psychology. Slot machines are built directly on it. So is the device in your pocket. Researcher Natasha Dow-Schul spent years studying how slot machine designers engineer this exact uncertainty, keeping players in what she called a state of continuous play. Modern apps follow the same blueprint, almost feature for feature. The pull-down refresh mimics shaking a bush to see what falls. The unread badge mimics a rustle in the grass. Impossible to ignore until checked. The infinite scroll mimics a forest that never runs out of patches to search. None of this happened by accident. Teams of designers studied exactly what made foraging animals keep checking, what made hunters keep tracking, what made gamblers keep pulling a lever, and built all three instincts into a single piece of glass you carry everywhere. You never get to consciously decide the patch is empty. The patch is engineered to never look empty. So when you reach for your phone for the 10th time this hour, you are not failing at discipline. You are a hunter still scanning for movement, a forager still sampling a bush, a tracker still convinced the next pursuit might finally pay off. Three ancient instincts stacked on top of each other, all firing at once for a glowing rectangle that was never the prey, never the fruit, never the kill at the end of the chase. You pick up your phone again. This time, you know why. Not weakness, but instinct. The same instinct that once kept your ancestors alive at the edge of a forest, still listening for a rustle that might mean something good is near.